Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audiblepodcast.com/SorgatronMedia. Over 75,000 titles to choose from for your iPod, iPhone, or MP3 player.
I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said now. I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AwesomeCast number 6. I need to use the other hand for the numbers. Of course, I am your host, Sorgatron, Mike Sorg, right here again for another week of awesomeness. And we were going to have a guest, Andy Quayle, techberg.com. We were having some Skype problems. He didn't let us know he was there. It was weird. But we're going to figure that out. We're going to try to get him on next week, see if we can reschedule. But in the meantime, we did manage to get, he's had perfect attendance, Rob de la Cretaz. Did I mess that up again?
You tried so hard.
I tried so hard. We were discussing.
So
I have a problem with last names, as you probably saw when we had AJ on last week, and I will confess my embarrassing trying not to pronounce Rob's name this whole time after 5 episodes because I don't want to mess it up. So
you put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, but you got everything else right.
Shoot. Anyways, Rob, how you doing this week?
I'm currently moist as it's wicked hot outside.
Wicked hot.
It's moist.
It's wicked hot.
Wicked hot. And of course, the other voice you're hearing, our emergency backup plan, pants or not, is Chachi, Tony Walker. How you doing tonight?
I am also moist.
Thank you. Thanks for jumping in here. I mean, we called you like 5 minutes before the show and said, you know, it's like, do you have pants on and can you be on the show just in case this doesn't work out? So there you go. And now we see where he sleeps.
That's completely my bed behind me.
That is, I would hope so. So, how you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having me for the 3rd time.
Yes.
6 episodes.
Yeah, there you go.
50% attendance rate. That's not bad.
Yep.
Yeah, not bad.
Hey, I show up when I'm called.
Exactly. Well, we don't have a discussion topic per se this week. Kind of our first. We're going to try. Nothing really came up. It was really slow after getting E3 and the iPhone and all this like important stuff. Now we find out what happens when nothing happens in the industry for the week. So we have a list of stories we're going to go through here and kind of see where it goes, guys. Yay! Are you excited for this experiment?
I'm pumped.
Fucking psyched.
Hey, that's not the show we're doing, Chachi.
Sorry. You can beep that out,
If
right?
depends on how late I edit this.
I'm sorry, I forgot. It slipped my mind.
So everybody's. What does anybody want to start with? Go for it, guys.
Let's see. I have 3 stories that you sent me. 2 are Apple related. So let's start with. I don't care. Either way, I'm just gonna completely bitch.
Well, we may as well cover the iPhone stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the big story is that they're still broken to a degree. Users are still reporting problems with the iPhone 4's proximity sensor. And I had actually heard about this in person from a friend of mine before I had read about it on the inner tubes. Basically, the problem is there's a proximity sensor right next to the earpiece on the iPhone. And the point is to shut off the screen when you're talking on the phone. So your ear doesn't accidentally put your call on hold or hang up on them or anything. And it seems like it's just not working that well. So people are putting their phones to their head and, hanging up and taking pictures and doing all sorts of weird stuff.
That's right. So on top of all the other problems, the usual line of Apple issues when you buy a first-gen product. But also along those lines, what was this? I love this headline from iSmashPhone was, Apple admits a mistake, waiving restocking, though that wasn't the one that I liked. But no, this was also related. They're waiving the restocking fee on the iPhone 4 in regards to the antenna problem, I believe.
Yeah, and basically where that story is going with the antenna problem is that what's going to happen in a week or two is they're going to roll out an update which will make it so that everybody's iPhone correctly displays the proper amount of bars.
Right.
So the people who are currently complaining because their iPhone drops calls are still going to be dropping calls, except now instead of blaming Apple, they'll be blaming AT&T, and everybody wins.
A fantastic case of corporations passing the buck. But you know what? We really, haven't we kind of waited for Apple to be like, you know what? It's not our problem anymore. It really is AT&T. Although this time it was kind of their fault.
Well, the thing is that it's not the reception thing isn't their fault. The thing about holding the death grip with holding it in your left hand, where the lower left hand corner of the phone contacts your skin, is something that happens in all phones. If you take an HTC Evo or even like an old Nokia 2125, and you can create the same field around the lower left-hand corner where all antennas on all phones exist because of how the FCC tests mobile devices, you will see an attenuation of the signal up to, say, 15 to 20 decibels. All phones are vulnerable to this. It just so happens that on the iPhone 4, they put the antenna band on the outside of the phone, which increases the top end of its reception, but also makes it that more susceptible to that attenuation that you see with all phones. At this point, it's basically, they're not necessarily saying it was their fault. They're just saying that their software made it so people who only had 3 bars, it looked like they had 5 bars. So when they lost reception, it seemed like a big deal. But now what's going to happen is the people who had 3 bars are going to see 3 bars, and then they're going to see the same attenuation they'd see with any other phone, and they're going to drop their call. At the same time, something that a lot of people are overlooking is a lot of people look at the bars on their phone as a quality of signal, which is completely not true, because you're looking at a digital signal, not an analog signal. That is to say that digital is binary, so it's zeros and ones. It's a 0 or it's a 1. That signal exists or it doesn't exist. And as those bars go down, your bit error rate goes up, but there's a threshold, and once that bit error rate becomes too strong, you do drop your call. But when you have 2 bars, it doesn't mean you have any less of a signal than you have when you have 5 bars. It does mean, however, that you're right on the edge of reception, so you may want to, climb a mountain or something to try and help your signal out. This whole thing has been educational to everybody, I hope, on how antennas and phones work.
We've all become antenna engineers in a small part because of all this, and realize that our phones have been lying to us this entire time.
Yes.
Well, it all kind of stems back to the iPhone that was found in the bar.
Okay, how so?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that they could have fixed this problem, before the launch, but they would have at least known about this problem before the launch.
I think they knew about
this
it.
Problem, we know, we're working on it.
Well, the other issue that kind of came up is if they were testing the phone, where are they testing it? Around Cupertino, where supposedly they have a super strong signal thanks to AT&T, pretty much putting a tower in their backyard and amping it up, since there's probably thousands of iPhones right there on campus. And also, if you can guess, since the stolen iPhone was found in a case, that if these guys were using these cases to out and about to hide the phones as they were testing them, they wouldn't have even seen this problem.
Yeah, they wouldn't have realized how bad it was, because there was actually a test earlier this year. It's a third-party test. I forget who did it. On signal strength of AT&T, and where the best cities in the United States had the best signal, and the best AT&T signal in the entire country of these United States is in Cupertino, California. So they would have had it in the lab in Cupertino, and everything would have been fine and dandy. And even when you had that sort of attenuation, they might have seen the bar drop by 1, maybe 2 bars tops, and it's not that big of a deal. Whereas, like you said, with the case that they were using to test it outside of Cupertino, where they might have seen the instance that's really shocking people, where you go from 5 bars to 0 bars, So that's a good point where the problem might have stemmed from, and why they might have just kind of ignored it because nobody saw it go from 5 to 0.
Even with all this, it doesn't seem to affect the calls being dropped from everything I'm hearing.
No, there's only a handful of people, and those are people who are making phone calls in areas where they really only have one bar, but their phone is displaying a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would just like also to point out for the record that any building in this country, in any major city, let me stipulate that, is able to have a cell phone antenna placed on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that the building I work in has one, as do a few of our other branches.
Okay.
Specifically because we needed them placed there.
Like it was put there, like by your firm, basically.
Yes.
To make sure everybody was interesting. I didn't know about that. So
I mean, if their hometown has the best reception, it's because they asked for it.
Yeah, it would make, but it would make sense, especially since there's somebody that does deal, directly with AT&T in that regard. So, it makes sense. So.
Yeah, it's no surprise, and it's certainly no coincidence that Cupertino has the best reception out of the entire country.
Exactly. Yeah, not at all. But I mean, that's just because they asked for it. It is possible for other places to get just as good reception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just I'm guessing it's a huge hassle to fight with the company and make sure that they actually put the tower where you want it.
Yeah.
That, and I'm sure you have to get permission of whatever building you're in if you don't own it and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
So in other Apple news, and I swear I'm pretty sure this is the last Apple story of the week, and we'll get by it. This was the one. Apple responds on iTunes fraud, vaguely confirms said fraud. Apparently there was a problem last week with somebody has hacked into iTunes. Saw reports of what appeared to be fraud occurring in the system, namely a rogue developer has somehow managed to snag 42 of the top 50 sales positions in the App Store's book category with seemingly bogus content. I didn't think there were reports there. We're talking on MacBreak today of people having to put in their password more often than usual that they noticed last week, or have to maybe even make a new password. Have you guys heard anything about this?
As a non-iPhone/iTunes user, no.
I had heard about it. I spotted something on Twitter last night where somebody had said, iTunes possibly hacked, go change your password now. And I honestly didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. And I doubt that this really affected many, if any, people, because even like the sort of hackery that took place here didn't necessarily put your private information or bank information at risk. Mm-hmm. It was mostly just gaming the system.
Yeah. It looks like it was something, system wide. It wasn't, my credit card's not. Yeah, I'm fine. I can go ahead and buy my Field Runners and I'm good.
You can buy more Apple things and you'll be all right.
Buy more Apple things. Fantastic. So
yeah, no, this article is rather short. But I mean, yeah, from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like he was on there to take people's money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, I make apps, and now you're not going to be able to buy them because Apple threw me out.
And to make myself semi-a-liar, the Futurama episode is in news lately. They had their iPhone spoof last week. The iPhone, as in the eyeball spelled phone. Apparently, the references mysteriously disappeared from the online clips of Futurama because they don't have the full episode up anywhere legally that I'm aware of. But they took out a few clips here and there, particularly like Mom, the character Mom in the show, calling the users dumb bastards, and I'm not particularly sure what other points were taken out. So it's interesting. I wonder if this was something that was a pressure from Apple to Comedy Central in that regard.
It could be. I don't know. I mean, I've always been pretty surprised at how far some of these shows manage to push topical and social awareness issues, kind of like the stuff that Seth MacFarlane has done on Family Guy, where they like openly made fun of corporations, Fox, like the oil war and stuff like that. And they haven't pushed any buttons. I mean, I can't say I'd be surprised if Apple threw enough weight around to get that stuff removed, but it's kind of a shame, I guess.
Is Viacom's openly, like Daily Show and everything's openly available on the iTunes store, isn't it?
I know the Daily Show had some issues with Hulu, I believe. They took all of it off. Viacom is pretty tight as far as content sharing and stuff like that.
All right.
They were one of the, I believe they were one of the first companies to reprimand YouTube for having their videos up, and I think there was
they're still involved in that now.
Yeah, because there was that thing where there was a video up and then YouTube took it down after like 5 days, and now they're suing YouTube because they said they didn't do it fast enough and they should be policing the entire YouTubes as all the videos come up. And it turns out that the video was actually uploaded by a Viacom employee. And
yeah,
it's fun.
A lot of challenges. It sounds like a lot of challenges to the idea of safe harbor, which a lot of our ISPs are under. So, if you're downloading, porn or whatever, that's illegal. The Verizon's not responsible. The user is, and that's pretty much what YouTube's been operating under, and that's what they're trying to avoid getting abolished, from what I understand. So.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and do our ad real quick, and we'll get to the rest of the news. Of course, we are sponsored by, we are big supporters of Audible.com. I have another confession to make. This is the night of confessions. I actually haven't been signed up for it for several months.
Gasp!
I know. I did the tryout. I completely gamed the system, but it's okay because I rejoined as of this week due to some fortunate circumstances. And I picked up my first book. I started it today. I finished in Defense of Food, by the way.
Nice.
Got me thinking about that kind of stuff. The Way We're Working Isn't Working. Actually discovered this book. He was supposed to be interviewed on Net at Night last week. They also had Skype problems. I think it's spreading. But this is basically talking about how we're overworked, and it's what everybody should know. You shouldn't work so much. You should relax a little bit. You should make sure you get enough sleep. But it's put in ways that maybe, my overworked butt will understand it. But it's enjoyable so far. I've gotten through about a half an hour of it. It's about a 6.5 hour book, if I recall. And you can get it free by going to that address right there, audiblepodcast.com/Sorgatron Media. You get one free audiobook. Cancel anytime within those first 14 days. No risk to you. And you can also check out, and I was discovering this since I just re-signed up. There's a nice free section there for Audible members, which I believe you can dive right into while you're going through that free trial. They have a lot of shorts and chapter previews there. I know there was a little bit of a short read by Woody Allen that I put in my queue that I just heard about. A lot of chapters, a lot of speeches. If you're into politics and old speeches, I think there's some Martin Luther King. I think they ran like a thing where there was a lot of during Black History Month, where there was a lot of Martin Luther King and stuff in there. So it's pretty cool. You get a lot of value for what you get there. This offer is, of course, to test out the Gold membership, which gives you 1 credit every month, which is good for pretty much just about any book in the store that I found. I understand there's some like super long books in there that are 2 credits, but I have not found them yet. Through my perusing through there. So if you want to check that out, that or select anything else, check out The Way We're Working Isn't Working over on audiblepodcast.com/Sorgatron Media and help out this show. So, all right, back to the news then. This was interesting to me, and of course we talked a lot about Hulu Plus last week. This actually came across the wire, I think, today. Netflix adds Relativity Media to its instant queues, takes on HBO and Showtime, according to Engadget, of course. Now, this is a big deal because when you have HBO, Showtime, You notice a lot of those movies pop up just a few months after DVD releases. Well, this is the same sort of play, but for Netflix. Through Relative Media's known for big films like 300 and A Serious Man, of course, a whole bunch of others. Few movies are mentioned coming up, including The Fighter, Skyline, Movie 43, and Season of the Witch, and establishes them as a player. Now Netflix has a couple interesting things, because they already have this partially because they have the Stars Play integrated, which I've been enjoying a lot of stuff on there. It's really nice to be able to, even especially since they're getting a lot of series going on. So
I watched the crap out of my Netflix.
Oh, I know you're a big Netflix user. So
yeah, I watch stuff that I wouldn't watch if it's on Netflix, or stuff that I would have never even heard of.
Definitely, and that's been the big thing. And I've really been surprised. Like a lot of stuff that's been more straight to DVD. Like there was one that I think was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is a Swedish film, is coming up. It came up I think today on Netflix streaming. It was just released on DVD maybe a week ago. Again, not high budget things. You're not going to get Avatar on a week after it's released on DVD. Of course, it wasn't even on DVD for Netflix about a month after. But it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to start seeing a little bit of a scattering of movies, kind of like how we have certain movies are on Showtime, certain movies are on HBO, certain movies are on Stars. If you're getting those subscriptions, I think you're going to start seeing some of these movies are available after 30 days on DVD. Some of them are available immediately. Some of them are available shortly after on instant streaming, which, if you wait a month and a half and don't have to send out for a disc, how bad is that? So, and I was actually talking to somebody over the weekend where they actually have the Netflix account, send the DVDs to their mother, and they take on the instant watching. They don't even have cable. So
that's all I pay for. I have the lowest account. I get one DVD if I want it, and I get the instant watch.
And how often do you use that DVD?
I accidentally ordered a DVD instead of watching something instantly once. You know what? With the Watch It Now, there's no reason for me to have a DVD. Honestly, I mean...
Yeah, now that most things are available via streaming. I remember when it first started, there was a lot of stuff you couldn't get via streaming. And so a lot of people weren't on board with that. But these days, they've got pretty much everything rolled out. And with this new, with the integration of Relativity Media, I'm kind of interested to see, like, we're closing down that window of how far after a movie being in theaters you're allowed to, consume it personally. You probably remember when we were kids, like how long it took for a movie to get to VHS.
Oh, man.
And sometimes it was just like forever. It was like almost a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at 30 days or less.
I seem to remember like it'd be a year, and then maybe it'll be another 6 months to a year before it's on HBO.
Yeah.
It's like you were really excited to see Police Academy on the television with no edits, 2 years after the film was released. It was crazy back then. Now
Right.
it's to the point where it's like, well, is that really a movie I want to see in a theater? Oh, well, it'll be on DVD in a couple months and I'll have it on Netflix.
Right. And the way the movie industry works is that most of the profit you're going to see in opening weekend. Everything after that is just random bonus, and it'll never match what you did on opening weekend. So I'm kind of curious to see if we'll get to a time when you go out and see a movie on Friday and you can download it on Netflix for Monday night if you want to.
That would be awesome.
It's coming, I think.
I can't wait. Honestly. So, I mean, it's insane. I've watched so much crap on Netflix that even flipping through TV, I wouldn't have even bothered to check out.
Chachi, have you been seeing the Hulu Plus news that's been going around since last week? Nope.
I stopped watching Hulu.
Really?
At the thought of them changing the way it works with this whole Plus thing, I stopped.
Well, I don't think they're going to change what you get now. I think you're still going to get the programming you get now. That's like last 5 episodes and everything. But I think it's a real stiff competition when half the series I saw on there were on Netflix. You know, they've really stepped a lot of those series on there, which, you know, kind of kills the box set to a point. So.
No, because you're still gonna have the hardcore fans that go out and buy the special edition box sets with the special edition item that you can only get with the $80 box set.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think it still kind of cuts into that, because I know I stopped buying the Smallville box sets. I stopped buying the Gilmore Girls box sets for my wife. You know,
for your wife, it's okay to cover it up.
For my wife, yeah, of course. So, I mean, you know, either way it cuts in, and I think that's what's really got them scared. So,
I sent out a new topic that wasn't on the Delicious.
Okay.
On GChat, I kept telling you about the T-Mobile announcement and everything.
Oh yeah, and you were pretty unhappy with that.
Well, I was, until I found the specs, or the rumored specs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sent you the link.
But backtrack a little bit. Where'd you send me the link at?
Twitter, because I tried in the chat room and it was blocked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's alright.
I'll fix that.
But, so T-Mobile, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Maybe 3. On Twitter, I follow them because they're extremely helpful. I love them as a company. Their service is great. Yes, their phones were a little behind the time for a while until they got the G1. But I'm happy overall with the way the company is. And so I follow them on Twitter, and they sent out a teaser tweet saying that over the next few days, they were going to release a hint a day as to a huge announcement that they had in regards to their phone, their next huge phone. Well, with the discussion going on about the exclusive contract between AT&T and Apple almost being up, I got my hopes up.
You did. You called me at the end of work one day.
Yeah. Well, I called you, and I flat out said during the call that I'm calling you so you know that I called it first. And I flat out told him that even if I was wrong, there was that chance. I just wanted him to be the first to hear me say that it was going to be the new iPhone.
It was to the point where I was disappointed as all hell when they didn't announce anything the next day.
But, so, obviously it wasn't the iPhone. Yeah, and you know what? That's fine. I would have gotten the iPhone had it been on T-Mobile, regardless of my thoughts on
They were playing a game with you, too. They were putting riddles out on Twitter and everything.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was hardcore.
Yeah. So what did they announce here?
They announced the Samsung i9200 Galaxy S2.
Okay.
And from the looks of it, it's thinner than the iPhone. Screen is comparable.
Mm-hmm.
And the rumored specs are it's 4.3 inches, 1280 by 720, Super AMOLED 2 display.
And that display, to be noted, is actually higher resolution than the iPhone screen.
Get out of town.
Yeah, the iPhone has a 4.5-inch display, which is 960 by 640. Mm-hmm. This display is 4.3 inches at 1280 by 720.
Yeah, and like I said, this is just rumored right now.
Yeah, and it's an AMOLED, which you see on I think the HTC Evo maybe the Droid X, one of those new fancy Android phones. One of them has an AMOLED screen, which is said to be not as crisp as the iPhone 4 display, but I'd be curious to see what this looks like with such a ridiculous resolution.
Yeah, the phone itself looks crazy.
Is this?
It looks. It basically looks to me like a content consumption device.
Yeah, but it's rumored to have a 2 gig CPU with a gig of RAM, 4 gig ROM, 32 gig built-in flash memory. Plus, it's expandable to an extra 32 gig with a micro SD slot. 8 megapixel camera with full HD recording. GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity, and ambient light sensors. And it's supposed to run the Android 3.0 operating system.
If all this comes to be true, that is going to be one fast phone.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to see how much of that they can actually squeeze into it.
Yeah, I mean, a 2 gigahertz CPU is still pretty unheard of for a mobile device. A gig of RAM would be twice as much as is in the iPhone 4, and 32 gigs of built-in flash memory. I mean, I don't follow Samsung's releases too much, especially not in the mobile space. But this, if I had to look at these specs and take a guess, knowing very little about what Samsung usually does, I'd say this is somebody's wet dream more than what's actually going to come out.
Yeah, you know what? As much as it hurts me, I agree. But the next Android OS is pretty much just an update from what they did for the Nexus One.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Gingerbread.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be released around mid-October. So, I don't know. It looks spiffy.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to talk about this, like, about computers?
Yeah.
Just put that out there.
Yeah, and now
We've become almost a phone show at this point, because that's basically where all the news is.
Yeah, most people have become a phone show. Well, I mean, the computer industry in general is all moving to mobile. At the very high end, you have, you know, your phones, your iPhones and stuff like that, and then down at the bottom you have your ultra mobile PCs, your tablets, things like that. And the as we've talked about before, you know, your desktop computing is moving to the cloud. Nobody really wants that much power at home anymore when you can get it online.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's to the point where, you know, I've become very platform agnostic. I'm sitting here in front of Linux, Windows, and a Mac that we're recording this on, and I feel like I wouldn't even have like something, you know, as powerful and expensive as this. You know, if I didn't do video, I would have no reason to it. If I was still doing web, I wouldn't be getting something this high end. I wouldn't be working on a Power Mac every day, you know. But you know, the more I see it, as I recommend computers for friends, like my mother, who does CAD work, actually just called me before the show, hence that tweet that you might have seen. And she was saying, I was like, oh, I'm getting a computer. It's $599. That sounds pretty good for a CAD now, right? I'm like, yeah, that's basically is, you know. They're all pretty much as fast as the other one, and you know, and that works for CAD. Yeah, that's fine. You know, some $599 gateway desktop. Sure, I think it was a desktop. Probably
well, I mean, also you have to think our sensitivity towards new and exciting computer equipment has pretty much been desensitized. I guess, if that makes sense. I mean, at first, when we all first started out, we were all excited when the newest and latest equipment came out, or video cards or memory or anything like that came out, and things just kept getting faster and faster. But now we're over that.
And there's still that community out there. Like I watched Techzilla, and I think it's funny because it almost feels like, and I don't know, maybe I'll be putting off some people that are still the big custom builder people. When it comes to PCs, but it really feels very antiquated. Maybe it's just because I've been listening to it for so long. When they're going in and talking about, you know, what specs to put in a PC that you're building for gaming and all this stuff, it just feels like it almost feels old fashioned to me at this point, you know. But
well, it's one of those things that I think is more so a sign of the maturity of the industry, where the average user and even the power user doesn't need to know what's inside the magic box. They just need to know that it works. There will always be gearheads. There will always be people who know the most intricate details of it. Just like nowadays, most people will go out, you buy a Toyota or a Honda or a whatever. You don't care what's in it, really. You care, is it safe? You know, what colors does it come in? What's the trim like? you don't necessarily care how many horses or how much torque is in it, unless, if you're a gearhead, you care about it and you know all those intricate details. But the general public, like as a whole, they don't care. And that's definitely the way the PC market is going. I feel that we reached kind of a ceiling for speed and ability, and now we're looking at more along the lines of multi-core processors. So the computers aren't necessarily faster, but they certainly handle us doing a lot more things at once much better than they used to.
Exactly, and you're right. There is always going to be the gearheads. However, all the basic nerds, us included, it's more about what you're carrying, i.e., your phone or your laptop or your tablet,
Your iPad.
or what you have on you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter anymore what you have sitting at home on or under your desk. Just because
no longer are we relegated to our cold, dark basements, except for me, of course.
Except for you.
Right here. But other than that, yeah, we're no longer relegated to our cold, dark basements. We can drag our tech to the coffee shops, and it's become trendy. We're no longer the basement geeks.
no,
Now we're
and
the
you
cool
know what?
kids.
And it's also you have to think about that the computers you have at home may be the sweetest things ever, but talking to your friends on the street, they're not touching that.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as they're concerned, it's all talk.
Yeah, and we've
Now,
definitely,
if
it's
you're
basically,
talking to
mobile represents the infiltration of the average person of technology, to the point where people, I mean, there's still a lot of people who say, I don't need an iPhone. Nobody needs an iPhone. It's a piece of crap. Who cares? It's too expensive. But, you're definitely running into more people who don't care about tech, but they care an awful lot about their smartphone, and they don't even know it's called a smartphone.
Yeah, I mean, to us, it's, oh, you have it with you. That means you're going to let me touch it. You're going to let me explore it because you know that I have a chub, just from you telling me and showing me that you're holding this device right there in front of me.
Yeah, I think we've all been there for, I don't think I've been to a podcast that didn't have the latest, you got the iPhone, here's a huddle around you.
Yeah,
It just came out. So.
And it was like that when the iPad came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was over at the Bird's Eye Lounge, and Chilla came over, and he had the iPad. Everyone knows how I feel about Apple.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had to play with it.
Yep.
I mean, he had it. It was there. He showed it to me. He walked me through it. I still had to touch it.
I think
that doesn't happen with desktops anymore.
I think this also speaks to the change of the metaphor and the change of the relationship that we're developing with our devices. Since our phones and even our tablets sometimes are with us all the time, and we engage in so much content using these devices, we're transitioning from having a laptop or a desktop being something that you use to having your iPad, your iPhone, or whatever smartphone you have, and it being like part of your being. You leave the house, you grab your wallet, your keys, and your phone, and it's always with you, and it's part of your life, not just something you use anymore.
And with the adapters that come with it, I don't know the exact name of it. It's a little square thing that you can plug into your iPhone that runs credit cards.
Square.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There we go. But I mean, even with stuff like that, I mean, even that's making it so you don't need a laptop.
Yeah.
I mean, you hook the square up to your phone, bam, cash machine.
Mm-hmm. It's become your portal to everything and anything.
Yeah, I mean, so stationary desktops are just at this point dying.
Yeah, and they seem even less cool when you go into Best Buy and you see those plasticky pieces crap. I couldn't stomach buying a desktop PC at this point because they just seem so chintzy to me, just as hardware. So, well, real quick, I had a couple more stories here. More about mobile phones.
Imagine that.
Hey, Disney acquires Tap Revenge developer Tapulous.
Woo!
So
Okay.
we know we're going to have a nice flux of Hannah Montana and Justin Bieber revenge.
I can't wait, personally.
Actually, as I read this, I for some reason was actually popping into the Apple Store for looking for something else, and saw the Nickelback Revenge was at the top of the chart. I was like, oh, we're going to see more of that. So,
I would just like to correct you. And I'm ashamed to know this,
oh no,
but Disney doesn't have rights to Justin Bieber.
I thought it was a Disney one.
No. He
I'm
was signed
sorry.
by Ludacris or Usher.
Ludicrous.
Really?
Seriously?
Yeah, that's why he was on the BET Awards.
That would he was signed. His label is Island and RBMG.
Yep,
Hey,
see?
Island was
Yes.
the ones that had the Insane Clown Posse, so put that together.
Yeah,
I guess
Island
right there.
Island is Def Jam music group and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Head P was up there too. Good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
I'm ashamed to know that, but
Wow.
but it's interesting. So what was this here? This line here over at 148apps.com was like, say not the first time they've acquired an iPhone game either. Jellycar 2 is also now a Disney property. So that I didn't know about that. So with Walt Disney, Disney has always been kind of on the outer fringe as far as video games. They've kind of more licensed stuff. Anything they've done that was straight Disney interactive seemed really rough. Like, say like the Pirates of the Caribbean games or something is what comes to mind for me. And then Capcom does Disney's Magical Quest. But
I don't know. Disney's always dabbled.
yeah,
Mhm.
they've been a little bit here and
It's
there.
not really something that they wanted to get in, but they're like, we'll try it this year. I mean, look at Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's when the good stuff comes out, is when they do the collaborations like that.
Yeah.
Disney is always very cautious, and I have a feeling if you look at Disney throughout history, it seems like they developed this habit of dabbling and seeing how things work out after they made that big mistake of not allowing the current CEO, I believe, of the founder of Pixar to develop 3D films under their name, and then he split off, got a few dollars from Steve Jobs, and then Disney came crawling back and said, "Oh, we were just kidding. We really like what you're doing, and you're now one of the most successful firms in the world. We'd like to have you back."
Don't they run
that
the
would have
anime?
been a conversation I would have loved to hear.
Yeah.
Don't they now run all animation at Disney? Like the people on that board?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, one more, and I almost have you seen the bear video that the Best Buy kid did? Like a kid, he's 25 years old. I found out.
Yeah.
It's find it. It's let's see if I can find the site or something. Basically, I followed it up because I'm like, okay, how'd this kid do this? Basically, there's a site.
Hmm.
I should have put that in here too. I'll see if I can get it up. There's a site where you can basically, you ever done like the Freak Show guys do the Office Monkey thing where you type in your phrase and it does the voice thing and it maybe syncs it up to the monkey's face. Career Builder did this for a while. I think it's still up actually. Well, basically somebody did that but with 3D characters.
Yeah.
Basically, you type in the conversation and it generates a 3D video with your selected characters. And
I can't remember what the website's called.
Extra Normal.
Wait,
There we go.
Is that the one where he compared the Evo to the iPhone and got fired?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, it actually has it both ways. He does have a rebuttal video as well. They don't even mention Best Buy in any of the videos. Apparently, whoever saw it from Best Buy somehow backtracked him, figured out he was an employee. Maybe he said something about Best Buy somewhere else down the line. The YouTube channel only has 3 videos. The Evo sucks video, the iPhone sucks video, and the and a trailer they did for an Xbox Doritos commercial submission. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's from another channel, maybe they've taken videos down since all this went down. Basically, they've suspended the kid 25 years old. What am I saying? They suspended him, and they're basically looking for a way to fire him.
Well, he doesn't work in PA, I can tell you that.
He doesn't work in PA. Yeah, I know that was a little bit of discussion too. If it was a work for hire state. But yeah, and it's really the most god awful video I've seen for a while. To be raising all this fuss.
And the funny thing is that if Best Buy hadn't said anything about this and they let it go, because they're claiming that it disparaged the brand they carry as well as the store itself, and we're fearful of stockholders and customers being turned off to Best Buy Mobile. Like you said, he doesn't mention Best Buy at all in the video. In the video, it shows like Cell Phone Mart or something like that. And there's no suggestion to the Best Buy brand whatsoever in fonts, colors, name, anything. But because they decided to suspend this kid and threaten him with a termination, now, as you can see on TechCrunch and pretty much any other reputable tech blog, including, I'm pretty sure this has hit New York Times and Wall Street Journal and all the big players, now everybody knows about this video, and everybody has seen this video. And I mean, me personally, as a geek, I see this as another reason for me to not shop at Best Buy. Besides the fact that they're generally a ripoff, they do sell some things at, decent prices. But when I see companies treat their employees like this, when I know there are a lot of innocent geeks, like I'm sure this guy is working at Best Buy, just trying to have a little fun, it doesn't exactly encourage me to consume their product.
Let me just throw this out there right now. I don't like Best Buy.
Most people don't. I don't think.
The last time I shopped at Best Buy, I walked in with exactly what I needed written down. First off, you can't touch any of the internal parts of a computer anymore on their shelves. It's all handled by the Geek Squad. So, you walk in, you have to go over to their desk, and you have to tell them what you need. Well, after my interview process with them, I learned that the Geek Squad is a bunch of morons.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, I mean, when I first finished school, I interviewed with Best Buy. And they told me that in order to even qualify for a Geek Squad position, I had to spend 6 months on the sales floor.
Wow.
Jesus.
So, that's how I know, personally. But I walked in. I needed 2 sticks of RAM. I had the specs written down, because I knew I wasn't going to remember. So I handed them the piece of paper. I said, I need this. It'll be written right on the package. And the guy still handed me the wrong equipment.
Yeah, there was a thing being passed around a couple of years ago, which was basically the story about back when Ubuntu was still up and coming. I mean, it's still kind of up and coming, but this was in the early days when they were giving out stacks of CDs to anybody who wanted them, and they were kind of the young kid who was pretty popular in the Linux world. Somebody had come into a Best Buy with a laptop or something that ran Ubuntu, and nobody there had a clue what it was. And they said that it couldn't possibly be as good as Windows. There's this huge write-up on it. It's probably like 1,200 words. And it's basically how this guy went into a Best Buy, ended up teaching all of the Geek Squad kids about it. The managers came over because they couldn't believe everything that this thing was capable of. And they hadn't really touched Linux in any shape or form at all. And he ended up passing out Ubuntu DVDs to everybody just so they could, toy around with it. The people who work behind the counter at Best Buy never, ever have a clue what they're doing. Every once in a while, you find somebody who, like, it's their first month on the job or so, and any self-respecting geek is not a member of the Geek Squad for very long.
No. And you know what? Let me throw this out there also. Yes, some of their prices are good. You can get some great deals there. As long as you don't talk to anyone in the buying process.
And it's hard to even talk to somebody half the time. When I have a question, it's like, where the hell is this in your store? And they're just having a meeting in front of me.
Yeah. Do you want to buy a warranty for that?
It's like, yeah, seriously. Yeah, I've had problems with them before where they helped my brother buy his laptop, and I was like, yeah, get a plan because I've been pretty happy with them as far as their warranties. If it breaks, I was told if you come in with part of your computer, they will replace it. But apparently they don't tell you which level of the plan that is. They've changed it a lot. But luckily, he got the standard plan, and they still replaced his board when we spilled some Dr. Pepper on it at a show. But aside from that, they still it was stressful because we went in and I was like, well, we didn't get the accidental damage protection because we didn't know it existed. Couldn't find it on the website. Nobody told us about it. They didn't even bother to upsell when we were trying to get a laptop from there shortly afterwards for somebody else I was helping out. It was like, I know they're not commissioned, but they don't even bother. I'd almost because I think some people want that protection. Even though they do offer me the protection on a game controller, even at Walmart, but yeah.
Well, see, the thing I have...
It's hard being the only game in town, Chachi. It is. It's so hard. It's so hard.
The problem I have is their, and I don't know what it's basically an optimization plan that they try to sell you.
Yeah.
They charge you like $80
yeah.
to optimize your computer.
But you know what? Alienware used to do the same thing. Okay.
Alienware is more is better.
Now that they're done, of course.
But it's if you buy this optimization upgrade from Best Buy, they take the computer out of the box, they delete a few icons from the desktop, and give it back to you.
Yay!
That's it.
Don't they charge like $100 to format your hard drive too?
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll do it for $20.
There's I think I saw one time a $130 plan to set up your game console.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But you know what? They're capitalizing, and I don't agree with it. But they're capitalizing on people that don't have, the kids in their family like us that we're the tech support for our whole family. And they don't have that, and the Geek Squad is that geeky kid that will help them out. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out too well, and sometimes they steal your porn. But aside from that, sometimes you don't have another choice. Well, on that note, I think we need to wrap it up here today. We're running late. Again, I want to apologize to Andy Quayle, but we'll plug the crap out of him. Techberg.com is his site. He's Techberg on Twitter, of course, and also he's CEO over at tubu.net, which I use for my portfolio. So go check all that out. We're going to see if we can get him rescheduled, of course. I blame Skype. Apparently he was signed on about a half an hour before the show. Didn't see him anywhere. Didn't get any notice, nothing on any of our computers. So go check him out. Chachi, we lost your video probably about 5 minutes ago. Not on Skype, but through the system. Due to some Firewire fun that I'm still trying to figure out. But cool. Where can people find you, and what are you up to lately?
On Twitter at Chachi Says, and I blog at chachisays.wordpress.com.
Excellent. And if anybody wants a hard drive formatted for $5 or $20,
don't undersell them, man.
A special deal through AwesomeCast.com.
I'm available for all your tech support needs. Just send me an email at chachisays@gmail.com.
Excellent. And Rob, what are you up to lately?
I actually have kind of a project this week. I'll be decking out one of my bikes with oodles of fancy electronics like electroluminescent pads and tapes and LEDs and blinky things for a special light ride I'll be doing next month. So all sorts of geeky goodness is ahead. But aside from me burning my fingers with a soldering iron and awesome fumes, I'll be on the Twitters at ROBJDLC. See, I abbreviated my last name. That's what that is. A lot of people ask me about my Twitter handles because they have no idea what it spells. That's actually my full name because my last name is, in fact, 3 words. And yes, that does make me cooler than most people. And ROBJDLC.com.
Not all people, most people.
Most people, not all people.
Fantastic.
Like me.
And of course, I'm over at Sorgatron.com. I have a recent rantings about The Last Airbender, and I actually have a post about half written. Maybe we'll get it up tomorrow about audiences not being served. The conversation I've had recently that I think I just needed to get down on paper or blogging. Also, check out. I've been playing with this cool little thing called the Camera Plus. We talked about this the other day, Rob, for the iPhone, because I have the 3GS and I have to extend it for a year. If you want the spiff factor, check this out. It makes it look like you're looking through a real camera. Look at that camera lens right there. But it's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna have a post about it in the future. It's like, it was $2 this last weekend, so I couldn't pass that out. Mostly Lisa.com, they have information. And I've been watching the tutorials, Rob. You're gonna have to check out my photos on Flickr and tell me how much of a photography tool I am. Doing it all wrong.
Gladly.
But aside from that, I'm having fun, and it makes me feel important. And of course, follow me on Twitter, Sorgatron, and sorgatronmedia.com for all the stuff we're working on here, of course. And also, AwesomeCast.com. We have a Facebook page. Go join us there. We're getting all kinds of friends. I'm seeing that number go up, and it's making me happy and feel important as well.
You are important.
There you go. Contact at AwesomeCast.com. I need to get off my butt and finish that Google Voice voicemail as well, so we'll hopefully have that number here for you soon. I remember I got a cool one. But I think it spells out ACAST or something.
Nice.
It was hard. I can't get awesome from anywhere from Google Voice. So until then, we'll see you next week. Stay awesome, people. Was that cheesy enough? Was that cheesy enough for you?